Hello, and welcome back to Therapist Blaze. No, I'm not a human. Okay, this is going to be a difficult moment because I have been fighting on behalf of our protagonist here to maintain a sense of hope in this dire situation, to find a sense of purpose and meaning to our actions in a situation that seems increasingly desperate and without any kind of positive solution available. What I've kind of landed on is this idea that I don't know if we're going to save anyone. Certainly not everyone. Least of all ourselves. But maybe that's not our goal, really. Maybe it's to show people that there is still a shred of humanity in everyone, and that it's still worth holding on to, even when everything that's happening around you demands that you give up on it. FEMA, the hunter, even our own fears all ask us to give away our humanity and to stop seeing it in other people, to look at the signs that make us different and to be fearful of them instead of trying to understand what's similar and how we can relate. I'm fighting for all of that right now. We're fighting. And so far it's been pretty good. Like, honestly, in the grand scheme of things, I've only had one mistaken death on my hands and one correct visitor killing that's left me with lots of guilt. And a couple of people have been hauled off by FEMA. But in the grand scheme, it's been all right. But last night, I got a notification that someone in the house perished at the hands of a visitor, which means, well, it means we've got some investigation to do and probably some hard choices to make. So let's find out who didn't make it. Oh, I'm so nervous. Oh, this is an awful feeling. It's like learning something bad happened to a group of people, but feeling relieved that it wasn't certain people. It's kind of fucked up, but what's more human than that? I'm just glad the young laddie and our friend in the back who is fighting for his humanity really hard as well, that they made it through the night. And so did our new lady friend here. Okay, let's check here. Dreamer's all right. It's great for him. he didn't get picked up by FEMA, didn't get killed by a visitor. It's kind of a lucky guy. Okay, we've got our weary traveler here in the closet. He's all right. No! Oh, this is not looking good. I mean, good. I've liked the stoner guy more and more over time. And I'm also glad that the widow is fine. But this only leaves the kitchen. It's either the astrology girl or the daughter. Okay. I wish there was a word to describe this feeling that's like the guilt of feeling relieved. Because, well, the astrologist certainly, well, she was human. And she was interesting, and we didn't hear her story yet. And I don't know if it was just me reading into it, but the idea that she was like singing in the night to soothe the young girl, she was a good human. I don't want anyone to be eaten by a visitor. I don't know, really know if they eat them. I've just been saying that, but well, whatever they're doing, they're clearly sectioning them and then also putting them up in trash bags. It's really quite a lot of stuff that's going on overnight. And yeah, probably some additional trauma on top of everything else for the young girl here, who may have formed a bond with the astrologist in the last couple of days. And I don't know if she saw or heard anything that happened overnight. Holy shit. Okay, well, two people, I believe, are visitors. We're gonna have to do some testing. First, let's check in on how this whole situation down here is going. See what the miner has to say. Who's there? I thought I heard something. Think. Okay, I don't think there's new dialogue here. Yeah, it's the same. I don't think that this is changed. Yeah. It's like all the pathways are still blocked. Okay. It's time for some deduction. Thankfully, we don't have to use any energy to dig. At least not right now. But I'm kind of curious what this does. Because we don't know the effects. But coffee ought to, like, give us some kind of energy, no? Okay, so it gave us another bit of energy, but interestingly, it didn't actually energize it. Okay, might come in handy for the future, though. Okay, let's talk to some of our people. Old favorites first, of course. Oh, geez, I hope I can learn how to kill. This guy always cracks me up. Tell me more about the man in the alley. He was wearing a like, cloak thingy covered with all these strings of fingers and teeth, and there was this kid next to him looking totally helpless. The man in the cloak was pointing his gun at him and yelling, screaming at him to show him his teeth. Poor kid just begged for mercy. I was hiding behind a dumpster and, oh geez, I couldn't help putting myself in his shoes. The kid was sobbing, like, uncontrollably, begging for his life, you know? Then bang! Down he went. Down like the rest of the corpses. That's when it hit me. Only two kinds of people left in this world now. Predators and prey. Oh, jeez. Oh, jeez. So, what he just told us is super important for everything we've been talking about in this entire playthrough, which is this term I've been using, consolidation. It's what happens after an important event like that, many times a traumatic event. It's the moment where our emotions, our experience, and our behaviors kind of coalesce into something that changes us in often fundamental ways. Sometimes it's the thrust of new behaviors. Others, it's a shift in perspective about the self or the world or some kind of underlying schema. Schema being kind of like a blueprint for how you understand a situation. So he had a moment of consolidation there that brought him to this conclusion. There are two kinds of people, predators and prey. It's the mind reaching out and grasping for meaning that we suppose is going to help us navigate a situation. He's in this awful nightmare world. He's seeing people die. He's watching someone beg for mercy and not being granted it. And he's seeing someone use violence to reach their goals. And the mind is overloaded with fear and anxiety, and we try to consolidate those moments into like a theme, something that can help me understand what just happened, what's going to happen to me as a result, like what do I need to do to survive this in any future situation, and what does that say about like the broader world, right? So like he had a moment of consolidation there. Now, we consolidate things in different ways based on the emotional state when it's happening. Negative events and negative emotions that result from them consolidate in ways that tend to create defense mechanisms. So when we have a negative consolidation, you get defense mechanisms. Think about a child being scolded, yelled at, hit. Our mind tries to grasp for a meaning and understanding of those moments. It's even harder if it's a child, like they barely have any real understanding of the world yet. And so what are they likely to do? Well, they're going to consolidate that experience and say, I need something to prevent this from happening. Sometimes that's going to be, you know, never speaking my mind again, like being hyper avoidant of whatever got me scolded or hit. Sometimes that's going to be acting out. Sometimes it's going to be returning the aggression, you know, either to that person or somewhere else down the line. Because negative emotions, right, they're very powerful. They are the thrust of deep behavioral changes and changes in perspective of the self. And many times those defense mechanisms are effective, right? We've been talking about this shift away from like whether something is really good or bad, but more is it effective or ineffective? Avoiding your problems is pretty effective. It's not often good, like, because then it creates other problems, but is it effective for reducing further discomfort or pain? Yes. You're avoiding them. You don't have to deal with them. Is being violent, like the hunter, taking care of like the need to feel strong? Yes, it's effective at doing that. It's like a major defense mechanism, and it is effective. It's coming with the cost of his humanity, just as the cost of avoidance is delaying problems further and often amplifying them. And the cost of aggression is often people are aggressive with you, or you get into fights or whatever, right? But we very often don't discard the defense mechanism because there's so much secondary positive gain to it. People smoke despite knowing that it's like not good for them because the secondary positive gain is it relieves anxiety temporarily. People are aware of the problems of their addiction often, right? But they struggle to get out of it because as a mechanism for defending against further pain and suffering, it is effective. And those negative emotions surrounding the beginning of how those behaviors and ideas were consolidated are often so strong because they happen in moments like this, where we're in fight or flight, and that sense of, if I don't learn this right now and change myself immediately, like it's my life on the line. Literally, like, oh, I didn't mean to talk to her. Literally the first line from our friend in the corner there is like, I hope I can learn how to kill. And so he's in the midst of consolidating these new understandings about the world that like, I'm either going to be predator or prey. But it's so obviously not his nature to be that way, right? And so you can tell it's a lot of this. This is why negative reinforcement, it is, again, effective. Like, if you scold a child, they'll usually stop doing the thing that you don't want them to do. But you're also going to lead to like lots of problems for them later on. Case in point, our protagonist. Neglected, abused, told to follow very strict rules in the house, but father didn't live by them himself. Those things did shape us in a very fundamental way, but using negative emotions. Things that made us more avoidant, made it harder to attach to people. We've consolidated loneliness, isolation, and limited attempts to empathize with people as things that protect our well-being. It's all happening right in here over the course of our life. That is why in this process of trauma work and therapy, we want the consolidation to happen as a result of positive emotion. Positive emotions help us consolidate inner strengths, resources, and confidence in ourselves to face those situations without developing maladaptive techniques like learning to kill or relying on substances to regulate our moods and avoiding to the extent of self-destruction, all of which are very effective, but don't tend to lead to healthy ways of being. When I say positive consolidation, what do I mean? Well, I'm talking about the discovery of assets, formation, and strengthening of connections with other people, evidence of manageability, having the security of support. Okay, there's a lot of things. The list really could go on. Okay, these are just a couple of things that I'm thinking of for our protagonist here, and that come up often in the drama work. Those questions that I was talking about earlier in the playthrough, like instead of asking him, what was it like when you shot the person and how awful was it? But like, what was the first thing that you did to cope with that? How did your instincts and intuition lead you into a direction that actually helped you deal with the situation better? Well, I called the neighbor. I tried to calm myself down. I pet the cat. Like, these are all things that help us discover assets. Same thing I talked about with the theater guy. Like, his idea of the storyline was that he like abandoned his family and he was left with all this regret, and he was consolidating this, right? Negative emotions, and the defense mechanism became self-loathing. When you talk about a trauma or a negative event in the context of the assets the person used to survive it, you get this. You get a positive emotional consolidation of that event, which doesn't make the negative event go away, but it recontextualizes it in the direction of healthier responses to that situation and those that may be similar in the future, right? So that's why we ask those asset-focused questions instead of the negative experiential ones, like what happened and how bad was it? When we form or strengthen connections, this is also a very positive experience that helps consolidate. We've experienced this with the cat. We've had it with the young laddie and several others. That even despite us trying to come back to some of our older defense mechanisms of like pushing people away and, pointing the gun at them and doing all this crap, we've done too much of this, right? We've formed too strong of a willingness to care to revert back. When we have evidence of manageability, right? Kind of building off of once you discover an asset, starting to reflect with a person, okay, and when you did those things, how did it make the situation more manageable than it was when it started? Well, I found it easier to care about people when I knew that I could deal with the consequences of them getting hurt. That's an important thing to consolidate versus the other way you could do that. The story you could land with is, well, I learned to never care about people because they always get hurt and then I get hurt myself. So what happens? I end up with a defense mechanism that now says don't attach and push everyone away. This instead tells me I'm capable of forming connections and surviving them when they cause suffering to me or the other person. And of course, having the security of support, knowing that like even with setbacks, even with mistakes, we have people around us who can help. Like that's a big one. That's why the therapeutic relationship is so important for dealing with trauma, because it feels very isolating to go through difficult things by oneself. And that's also why it's beneficial to have a good support system just in your life in general. These and many other things help in the reflection of a negative event, consolidate it in a way that leaves us with positive momentum going into the future, instead of calcifying the worst parts of that memory and experience and leaving us with very effective, but also self-destructive methods of just preventing it from happening again. All of this is kind of at the center of what I think has been happening for the protagonists and all of these characters, right? And it's why the questions from the therapeutic process have to be so deliberately angled in this way. Unfortunately, a lot of therapy actually does this, and it's not on purpose. Like therapists aren't setting out to create, negative attachments to people's experiences, but some of those common questions, they do lead to this. That's why so many people have stories of like, yeah, my therapist actually made me feel worse because when I struggled in the process, they told me I was resisting. When I had a setback, they made me feel like I was unmotivated, or, they just really wanted me to focus in on what my problems were. And I ended up, feeling worse because we just spent a lot of time talking about how bad things were for me and how I didn't really do anything about it. And then they tried to tell me I was resilient. Like, someone else can't do this for you. Like, I can't consolidate for you by saying, oh, you're so resilient that you are resilient. I have to ask questions in that way that says, what did you do to respond to the problem? How did that change things? How did those responses make the situation more manageable? With that manageability, how did you learn to protect and create new connections that ultimately formed a deeper social support system, made you more confident to progress further in that area? Like, those are all things that I need to lead the person to, not just tell them. So you can help someone consolidate with the right questions, but you can't do it for them. And some therapy wants to take a shortcut to that. It's the right idea. It's just sometimes the execution's not there. So it is sad to see that the purple laddie, you know what? I couldn't figure out another name for him, so he's just another laddie. That's just what I'm going to call him. He's the purple laddie, the young killer. He's unfortunately doing some of this. And, well, I hope we can find a path that, maybe doesn't do everything I'm talking about, but maybe resolves in him putting away these ideas of needing to be a killer. Now onto the young lady here. Oh, dearie me, I'm getting old. Where are you from? City-born, I am, dearie. Forgot if I was doing a voice for her. Add me a little hut in a high-rise. No wee cottage in the country. No crumbly old husband or grandbabies to speak of. So I'd sit myself down on a bench most days. Could feel a bit of life there, you see. And all the things I'd hear. But when all this hogwash started, well, I didn't like it anymore. How can you feel life when everybody around is dropping like bloomin' flies? Step into the stairwell, and there's always some poor soul lying there, covered with white cloth. Heavens! It's enough to make you wish yourself gone, rather than keep watching such sorrow. So off I popped, toddled off looking for a place where there's still stories to hear, life to feel. And looky here, fate's led me straight to your door, dearie. Now, I'm no churchgoer. I love this woman. But in times like these, well, it feels like heaven itself guided my steps. Now, I don't know specifically what the research would say on this, but I would also be willing to guess that there's some trait elements to this thing I'm talking about of consolidation, like that some people more naturally allow themselves to look for positive ways to consolidate their experiences, and they don't need as much of that guidance to get there, while some people might struggle more to do that. And as I say that, it's very likely the case that the ACEs study would point to a conclusion about this. This is the Adverse Childhood Experiences study that looked at the elements of a child's upbringing and the presence of several adverse childhood experiences like abusive, neglectful parents, substance use, mental health history, socioeconomic status, like different kinds of hardship become very strong predictors for both mental and physical health issues later on for people. And so it kind of trickles down through someone's lifespan that people who have probably historically struggled with positive consolidation relied more on defense mechanisms that created the adverse experiences in a child's life, like, you know, being a more strict and more abusive and neglectful parent and all the rest. Those are all their own, you know, the result of this happening for them, that child without support, you know, likely learn to do this as well. And so there's definitely an environmental aspect to this. What makes the young lady here such a positive person? I mean, well, I think she feels dependent on connecting with people, so she's kind of doing a bit of this to survive, and just, you know, being surrounded by others who are suffering from the same thing. She naturally finds that to be some sense of meaning making about what she's going through. But, you know, good-natured people and those who might generally be a little more positive, like, they're not protected entirely from this stuff, because look what happened to the other young laddie here. Sports lad, he's got a headband on. He's a sports lad. Being in a traumatizing situation, like seeing people get killed. Everyone has the capacity to have this like very negative response to very negative events, and that's like totally natural as well. I think that we've seen the end of his story. So let's find out what the dreamer has to say. I hope he's not too pissed off that I gave him a FEMA notice. What about you? What are you hiding in your dreams? What about me? I slept in days. But fine. I'll let you in on a little secret. No one would believe it anyway. I can watch other people's dreams. It's fascinating, really. No idea how it works. But ever since all this started, the dreams have been quiet. Like everyone's holding their breath. And I can't sleep anymore either. What are you doing? Looking for your dreams. I want to find a little piece. Just a taste of it. Where do you hide them? Tell me. Back off or I'll fucking drop you. Jesus. There's a little part of us that hangs on to that thread. Yeah, it's probably not wise to step to our protagonist here. I'm just gonna remain calm, though. I don't have any dreams. You must understand. I need dreams. I've already seen it in your eyes. You don't have any. You can relax now. Now, am I telling you the truth? Or do I just need your walls to drop? What? Why did he just turn into a puddle? Okay, well, it's not looking the best for him. I mean, he had some concerning stuff going on with his armpits last episode, and well, the interaction with him just now was quite unnerving. So he's kind of high on the list right now for a potential visitor. Got our new friend here. Looks like he's having a really good sleep. A fat haul. Yeah, that's all I need. How's the scavenging going? Hey man, I thought this place was dead. That's why I tried to sneak in. Didn't know people lived here. I don't steal from the living. Makes sense, right? Think about it. What's a dead guy gonna do with a coat? He's gone. Stuff's just lying there. And me? I'm still breathing. Might save my life. Someone I care about. Wait. Coat guy. Is that the coat guy? The one I blasted away because he was a visitor? God, the little bits of lore that connect these characters is so fascinating. Tell me you wouldn't take something off a corpse to save someone you love. I don't know. I guess I can't say I wouldn't. Maybe it's about time we stop treating every dead guy like a shrine. Just saying. Do you want like a pillow man? I mean, like good for your neck. Okay. Never get too much of an impression from first time that we chat with people. But yeah, interesting the connection with the coat guy. He must have dug around and wherever he ended up. What's up, dude? Okay, we've heard his story. This is I'm very curious about this one. This is quite a tragic character. Even just from how it seemed at the door. Could use some rest. Is there anything you need? For him to be alive? Oh, man. That's all. That's all I really need. Can I get you some water? Some food? I'll just sit here by the faucet. I can drink from it if I need to. Can I sit with you? Interesting. That is a rare moment of initiation by the protagonist to connect with someone. And, well, it might seem impossible to have a positive consolidation of something tragic like a death, but that's why it's not just a situation of can you learn to change your mind and feel good about something bad. That's not what consolidation is. It's, are you able to attach to the experience, to the memory, some of these elements that create their own positive experiences, like formation and strengthening of connections in the course of or as a result of this tragedy, like the connections we've made as a result of the visitor situation, the discovery of assets, like how did you deal with the grief, and were you able to restore a sense of manageability about aspects of your life that were disrupted from it? Like, it's not about learning to feel good about bad things. It's almost a guarantee that you won't. And I've seen some discussion of skepticism about some of those ideas because I think that's what people think of, which is like, can I delude myself into feeling good or feeling positive about a tragedy? Nobody wants that. That's not the agenda. It's that a tragedy is always going to feel bad, and there will be elements of adaptability and resilience that you experience as a result of it. And it's just about making sure you capture them and not sort of leaving them on the table. They're not going to make the tragedy go away or feel all that much better, but there's a risk of not capturing them in the experience And if you don't, what you come away with is just the negative reflections, usually on your own character, more cynicism about the world, and more of these avoidant and self-destructive defense mechanisms. So positive consolidation isn't trying to trick yourself into feeling positive actually at all. It's just making sure you also add the tag on a tragedy that says, this event was horrific, and tag, here's how I survived it. And here is how I'm trying to better my life after it. Here's how I'm changing to make myself not self-destruct after it. And so in a moment like this, like, there's nothing positive we can really say to make this go away. Some people try that kind of, mistakenly, to say like, oh, well, look at the bright side, or what's the silver lining. That's more in the sort of like trying to just change your mind about something. That's not really what I'm talking about. But this would be, I think, an attempt to add a tag to this tragedy, which is that I'm still trying to make new connections, and potentially so is someone like her. It's not going to do anything about the person that she lost, but we're focused more on what happens next. Let's see what happens. Can I sit with you? I only want to be with him. You can't bring him back to me. Can't even bury him. What am I supposed to do? Yeah. Well, there isn't really anything to do, so to speak. I do like the idea that she's hanging out in here with Mr. Smiles. This is such a vibe in this room right now. It's just like, whoa, like surfer dude, almost, and like grieving widow with her husband in the tub. And not to cut into that vibe, but I gotta get to the sink, so please move aside. I need to check myself, because I know that the hunter is coming back, and we're gonna have to show him something. Now, I'm kind of curious. Are my hands still dirty? No. They look fine. Clean hands. Some powder marks, nothing major. Okay, so we can at least show him our hands. Okay. I don't know who is a visitor, but I have my suspicion it's this guy. We're gonna need to test. Now, last time the armpits weren't looking so good, friend. And we know that he's been up all night, so his eyes probably aren't in great shape. Like, what would be strange? Maybe the ears? Haven't heard of that one before. Let's give it a try. What's the verdict? Do you know what to look for? Inconclusive. Try something else. I know he's been like awake for several days, so it would not be unexpected that his eyes are kind of fucked, but I don't know. That could just be a story he's telling me. Let's check those eyes. I heard somewhere that insomnia makes your eyes darker. I wonder if that's true. Oh. It's not looking good, friend. It would have been nice if you were getting some sleep. There's just something that doesn't add up about his story, though. And I know I gave him the FEMA notice, but people are gonna die overnight if I don't act on this. They used to be wider. Now they've gotten really red. You didn't notice. I haven't slept in, well, a long time. Why aren't my eyes red? Strange. What? They are red. They're red as shit! Just looking around for a place to sleep. Feel sluggish, but My eyes just keep getting more alert. It's not the first time and probably not the last that we'll have to resort to these measures to continue with our idea about what the purpose of all this is. You know, trying to give these people a resting place before the end. I really don't know what else to do here. I can't just let more people fucking turn into trash bags. But I do feel like we're surrounded by enough support. And I think the protagonist may feel that ultimately the cost of helping these people is we may not be judged fairly for what we have to do in that process. And sorry, friend, but it's not checking out for me. Something's not right. I just wish there was another way. It's kind of funny how you've decided to kill someone because of something you were told. More scary than funny, I guess. Mad world. No dreams. Me dying. God damn it. In one way, I fucking hate that the one who was a little overtly strange ended up being a visitor. I think there's a lot that could be said about the idea that very strange people can just be that. Very strange people. But I feel more than anything else that my man was suffering. Like, his search for meaning came in the form of dreams because there's really not a lot of meaning in the waking world, as it would seem. But I suppose it is also a part of our protagonist's story that, for better or worse, you know, making the right choice still comes with consequences, but maybe we're getting better at accepting that there's really no perfect choice in any of this. I personally like the idea that we're not just saying, fuck it, you know, let the visitors kill whoever they want because none of it matters. I think that we genuinely want to hear more of these people's stories, and so I don't want to see them go in the night. Just don't know how many people we're actually going to be able to save, and how many will have to die for us to save them. Well, that's our dirty deed for the day. Fucked up. I'm glad this stupid creature is here. I'm glad that you're out here in the hallway, kitty. At least one person I can shelter from the horrors that happen in these rooms. I wonder if I can make another cat food order. I really want to stop this killing. Oh, yes. 2 cans of cat food, please. I'm dependent on this stuff. Tomorrow night. Okay. We've bought ourselves some time. Well, I do hope that that is enough for now. One thing's for sure, this part seems to never stop. There's people coming to the door. I'm back. Really sure why the hell I'd be bothering, though. If my brother hadn't been so gutless, maybe he could have kept his wife and kids safe. Now who knows where the brat is? Brother. Oh, wait. Is he talking about the neighbor? Wife and kid. And he was looking for the girl. This is the little girl's fucking uncle? Oh my god. How are you holding up? As if you want to find her. No point looking. Waste of time. If my brother had a spine, maybe there'd still be a chance. For now, I don't care anymore. I'm done with that. There was his family on the edge of town, barricaded in, Dad holding the door. The wife, she was showing signs. He kept pleading with me, "She's my wife, don't hurt her!" When the visitors started climbing the roof, the idiot finally opened the door. Let her run. So I did what he couldn't. I killed her first. Then him. Kids got away with the neighbors somehow. Then FEMA rolled in, talking about cleanup. Told him not to worry. It was already done. They laughed. Said I should sign up. Fuck that. All they do is drag folks away, and the visitors are still fucking here. Anyway, enough talk. I'm testing you. Show me you're not one of them. Ooh, okay. Well, I can show him my hands. Because I know that they're clean. Well, move it. I don't bite unless I have to. Dirty or clean doesn't mean shit to me. Visitors blend in just fine either way. I don't got time for this now. I'm done here. Won't see me again. Enjoy what's left. So he was the uncle of the girl. The willingness to look for the humanity in people is vanishing for everyone in this world, I think. But if I were to place just a small amount of it in the gentleman with the finger necklace, it would be that he was still looking for the young girl. I'm hoping not to not to take her out, but in a twisted way, he thought he was saving her from her father and the visitors. I don't know. That's not always easy for me to, well, shift my perspective into one that's so accommodating of the intensity of people. But somehow we survived, I guess, that scenario. And if it was kill or be killed, well, we found a third way. A mechanical one. Figure out what he's looking for and try to prepare for it, but well, it was a way that didn't end in further tragedy. And look, we are supplemented with an instant reward. A delivery! What happened to you? But first, some therapy. My friend... God damn it. My friend got killed. He went to drop off an order, and the homeowner... People have lost their fucking minds. Why the hell would that asshole think a regular delivery guy is dangerous? Why kill him? What the fuck for? Sorry. Remember when I said being a delivery guy helps me take my mind off stuff? It's like that's not working anymore. Keep seeing tired, grim, bitter faces. Plus those endless morning checkups with FEMA staff pointing guns at us. This whole mess. I'm so sick of all this shit. I just want it to be over. Alright, take your order. I'm gone. I'm glad that this man at least feels he can vent to us. He does look beaten down by the world. The problem with this idea of consolidation is that it does take a lot of intentionality to really sit and think through the things that can allow you to make sense of an experience in a way that doesn't leave you worse off than you went into it. It's way easier to consolidate change through negative emotion because it's so immediate. The immediate way we respond to issues is often just the quickest path to self-preservation, which is often fight or flight, right? And that's good in that moment, but then it teaches us to fight and flight in scenarios that, well, can create harm for us and others down the line. And this man doesn't really have a lot of support at the moment. if any. Losing his friends. Even the place that he returns to that's like safe, like maybe a FEMA checkpoint. He's still being threatened. Still being looked at with inhumanity. I mean, if nothing else, I hope he got something out of us just being here to listen. Well, I'll take that cat food now. Here you go. Have a good night. It's a good soul. Speaking of the cat, our friend who brought it to us, it's not looking so good. Forgotten your face. Vision's fading. Barely see anything now. She left me? You look bad. She kept me going all this time. Now? She's gonna take it all back? What was the point? What are you talking about? I don't even remember anymore. One word repeats in my mind. Jump. 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 I don't know if it's a message meant for me or you. Lost. Divine my fortune again, would you? Perhaps it'll help. Somewhere towards the end. Middle of page 200, 10th page. Well, I think we're all somewhere towards the end, friend. I don't know if that's going to provide him any comfort. We've been on a train to nowhere for the longest time. The road roars on beneath its wheels. I get it now. Goodness, I just remembered something. Thank you. I'll be going now. Bye. I hope that man finds peace. Oh no. Oh no, it's another child. No, the terror of new attachments. He's not asleep? He should be. Where are your parents? Parents? I don't have any. Never did. Are they something we need? Oh my god. Never had any parents. Either a tragedy or you're an alien. What are you looking for, little one? Wrong smell. Wrong voice. Sorry. This house is wrong. Oh. I didn't even get an opportunity to welcome on in. Hey, kid. How are things holding up around your neck of the woods? I ain't from around here. I've been wanting to stay in one spot too long. But I can't roam around like I used to, no more. Age will do that to you, son. This man seems like he has wisdom. It's just the way that he's talking to me, like I'm a young laddie myself. It's making me feel sprightly and immature. I bet we could learn a lot from this man. Why are you traveling? Or what are you hoping to find here? Oh, let's go with that. Here in town? Just needed a place to my bones rest, kid. I think you mean rest your bones. Ever since this damn business with the sun, they've been crawling out of their holes more than ever. I'm telling you, son, they're up to something, and they need to be put down. You want to hunt the visitors? Aren't you doing the same thing? Now, you ain't a fool, kid. But hell if I'm just gonna shoo them away. Let one go, it'll be right back to tear your damn throat out. Ain't getting a second chance with them crafty varmints. I mean, he's such a visitor hater, he can't be a visitor himself, right? I say come on in. Knew you weren't soft. You've got some backbone, son. We'll wipe him out. Won't let no varmint within a mile of this place. Okay. Curious man. Looks like no one else is coming tonight. What about outside? Oh God. Every nearby house is in ruins. Your home is the last one standing. Why? Why is our home the last one standing? Is it because I have built this place on the pillars of humanity? Or there's just some supernatural shit going on and the cat really is keeping us all alive? No one is left to shield you from the madman's ire. Whatever happens next will happen to you. Well, I don't know. The madman said he's not coming back, so... FEMA officers surround the burned bodies. They document the cultists' deaths. Faces frozen in terror and agony, as if they saw something horrible or dying. I think that speaks to, well, even if you think there is going to be peace beyond life, the moment of transition is likely to be terrifying for everyone. Even if you have full conviction of what you think is going to happen afterwards, I think it's just, well, I was going to say human nature, but I think it's just the nature of anything alive that that moment of knowing its ending is, I'm sure there's nothing like it. Nothing remains of the burned bodies. Only a strange, shapeless mass. It's like sludge. You wonder if something melted the flesh and bones before swallowing the remains. If prayers mean anything, the creature will stay in the shadows. You fear your mind won't survive seeing such a monster. What? Is there some sort of creature out there? Feasting on the dead? Like, besides the visitors and FEMA. Okay. It's been a long day and night. I think our man needs some rest here. Smells like someone died tonight. Shit! Still have visitors in the house. Breaking news. FEMA's just arrested a majority of government officials. What? The agency reports that some members of administration were identified as visitors. With the ministry no longer able to function, FEMA will assume the role of the interim government. Wow! How convenient for FEMA. In addition, one moment. Just in from FEMA. Fugitives have broken through the citywide lockdown. We repeat, fugitives have broken through and are now at large. Barricade your windows. Lock your doors. Await further instructions. And stay inside. End of broadcast. Fuck! Okay, I have to see. I just have to check. Okay. Oh, I was really, really looking forward to learning more about the widow. What did you see, bro? Who was it? Or maybe he's the fucking one. Oh, fuck, it pains me so. That also means... Fuck, I got rid of one of them, but... that means that there's still two inside. Why do I just let everybody in? I've created the situation myself. Stay sharp. Any one of us could be a visitor. You're a hunter, right? More of a ranger kid. Lived way out in the wilds. No TV, just radio. That's how I found out what was going on. Decided I wouldn't let no one cross my threshold. No siree. My home's my fortress. What if one of them were a visitor? Sweet talks me, then slits my throat while I sleep. Why are you here, then? That's a good question. Hell if I'm letting that tall son of a gun get his hands on me. He's the reason I gone and left my cabin. I'm developing this man's voice as I realize he's got quite the accent. Aye, I can see it in your eyes. You've seen him too, ain't you, son? Oh, the tall, pale visitor. Well, I am curious about this, because this is almost kind of like well, one of those asset-focused questions. How did you survive out there if you were alone? That's a mighty long story, kid. Ain't in the mood to tell it today. Bring me a beer tomorrow. Tell you the whole darn thing. Okay. It could be pretty cool to crack one open with our friend there. Well, thankfully, we don't have to worry about anyone dying tonight, at least, because our great savior will have a belly full of visitor begone. I'm not even going to pretend anymore that I hate this. Why deny such a deep inner part of myself any longer? And what more could I ask for to sleep peacefully in this nightmare? Death will pass over us once again. I can really see why ancient cultures worshipped these creatures. It's just, it's making a lot of sense to me, folks. Okay, well, with the hunter no longer gonna bother us, we don't have to test anyone, really, at least for right now. May as well see what else we can learn from our friends in here. Survival doesn't mean you have to become a bloodthirst. Whoa, what? I'm so proud of the protagonist for saying this. I mean, it's kind of incredible, right? Like, that is one of the main pathways that the game presents to you. From the very beginning, it shows you through game design and narrative that being a bloodthirsty killer is really the most effective way to, like, sort of survive the game. If you just blast away everyone, then of course you'll survive. If you think the win condition is just not having visitors. If you think the win condition is something else, like I've sort of seen it as prevent the most harm while preserving the most of your humanity, well, that would lead me to a conclusion like this. And to be telling the person who needs to hear it most right now, this young sports lad, I wonder how he's going to take that. Are you nuts? Of course it does. You're alive now because you bared your fangs like a predator. That's why no one touches you. So long as people fear you, you're safe, you know? I don't want to be prey. I don't want to die crying like some coward. That's why I have to learn how to kill. So he has not had a moment like we have of that positive consolidation that tells us a different conclusion. He's still very much down-regulating from the event of a couple of days ago. So it makes a lot of sense that he's still there. But I think that was a really big moment for our protagonist to say something like that. Because it's in denial of what could have been a very obvious conclusion. That you're either predator or prey, and the game gives you the tools immediately to be the predator. But you can choose not to align with multiple versions of that, from the way that FEMA goes after people psychologically, politically, the way that the hunter goes after people just literally through violence, and even others who are probably more in the neutral category, like the cultists, who, still try to sway through ideology. I think what the protagonist just said is something very human. Very human-like, I have to say. And I think that that's part of his evidence of manageability, that we have learned to manage this crisis without being a bloodthirsty killer, only a sporadic killer, and only when we can't feed the cat, really. And that's given us survival without needing to be a killer. I love it. It's a beautiful moment of reflection and consolidation for our hero. And I do consider him a hero by this point. Yes, he is the protagonist, and protagonist is just a neutral term that refers to the primary figure about which a story is told, much like an antagonist is the primary opposing force to the protagonist, not necessarily a villain to them. But nay, I say he is a hero by this point in the story because, well, there's enough evidence for me that the choices that we've been making are not just Brady fan fiction, being hopeful in a hopeless game, but we're given so few options to speak our mind. And when we can, there's an option that's either neutral, hopeful, or only hopeful, like in the case with the young sports lad. And I think we are really doing everything we can to help at this point. Just don't know if it will all work out. This is 18-8. Left city perimeter. Immediate backup required. We need backup now. We can't contain the subject alone. Okay, well, let's talk to the young lady and see what her story is about. Don't you have relatives? Everyone's forgotten me, dearie. If there's anyone left alive, don't come around to visit poor old Granny. All the more common with young'uns these days. Plenty get so swept up in life that they forget their own. Also bothered by this and that. Now the soul calls back to ask how I'm getting on. One time, I was sat on that bench, and my neighbor was yapping on about her grandson, something fierce. Said, "My boy's a good egg. Always remembers his granny." And well, she told no fibs, dearie. Always said hello. Polite young man he was. Why, I even felt a pinch of envy. Then she died. What? And that good egg turned rotten and sour. All he wanted was the poor soul's apartment keys. Paid for with a smattering of smiles. Why'd you reckon folks lie to each other's faces? Untruths reflected in the eyes of the ones we love. Marry, have children, and then, would you believe it? They don't love you at all. Lucky my husband's dead and buried. Wicked old coot he was. From her story, I take that there is also nuance in how you take away these key learnings about the world and people. For example, she clearly sees the benefit and value in still connecting with people, even though she has moments like that that could make her more jaded. But it's not become all or nothing. Just people are trustworthy or they're not. People are good or evil. There's humanity in everyone, and, well, depending on their experiences and how they live through them and after them, little bits of humanity can still persist even in someone who's full mostly of darkness. And I think about the hunter, for example, who is still trying to save the little girl, even though like the rest of his mind is warped through violence and brutalizing people. And it's hard to have a complicated idea about life because, well, it doesn't give you an easy script to follow. It means you have to really look at every new situation and every person and not just act the same way you always have or think the same way that you always have. One thing we're great at doing as people is organizing things and developing processes and systems, and I think that we rely deeply on that for making judgments about people who seem to represent an archetype of someone we've met similar and acting based on that. But I think what I've learned from this game is that, yeah, everything is not as it seems from just the first impression you get. There's been people who I wasn't exactly sure about them at the beginning, but turned out to be someone I found a lot of fondness for. There's people I wouldn't have suspected, but turned out to be visitors. And then there's ones that seemed like visitors and were visitors. So what can you do in a situation like that? Well, I think the best that we've been able to is just trusting that empathy wasn't always going to be a weakness for us. And that if it ever was, it didn't mean that empathy never works in our favor. It's not something to just throw away because it doesn't have a 100% accuracy prediction rate. And what I also learned is that cats are the safest, most powerful creatures around. I mean, I kind of already knew this, but sometimes you learn lessons more than once in life. And well, summer's end. We don't need to test anyone else. The house is protected for now. We don't need to test ourselves. What should I do, kitty? I could really use your wisdom right now. Spoken a lot about making good choices and trying to change myself, but is it all just a delusion? Oh, how I wish you could talk. I suppose I will have to rely on the floating hearts that emerge from your body when you are petted. In fact, perhaps this is better than words. Perhaps this is a sort of cosmic validation of everything that I've been doing. I don't love myself, you know? I'm just learning to accept who I am. Maybe I'm not ready to even call myself a good or even a decent person. I think I've made some good and decent decisions, though. But if there's one thing I'm sure of, it's that I'm loved by this creature. At least when we feed it. And not so much when we pick it up. Thank you, kitty. Thank you for the cosmic validation. It is very much needed at this exact moment. Okay, I really don't know what's coming next, but it's the end of summer. And I guess we can check in on what's going on down here in the old tunnels. Miner Man's still there. Are these ever gonna, like, open up? I mean, I have all this energy that I could dig. Oh. It is open. Miner. Did you... How did he get in here exactly? Because it didn't come through there, and this wasn't open before. I guess he doesn't have anything new to say either. Now he told me I should not jump down the pit, but it was the man who brought me the cat who said the message was jump. Can I, like, repel at least? I mean, he's got a pretty good idea about doing that. I mean, perhaps it's a way out of just being in the house. Like, I don't know if we could sort of dig ourselves deep underground to where, I don't know, at least FEMA couldn't find us. But is going down here leaving everything else behind? Like, can we come back? If there's one thing that I think our hero has proven, it's that we are willing to experiment with change. And sometimes that's been good change and sometimes not. But we absolutely have not just stayed the same. That's the beginning of the game. The first option we had was just to point the gun at people, and, well, we exhausted its effectiveness quite quickly. We've repeated the things that work, like feeding the cat, but found quite minimal success when we didn't have that as an option. So I don't know if this presents us another way of handling things, but, well, I just know I don't want to go back up there and shoot anyone else. Whoa. What the... Where am I? And what is that? It's like cloud. Death. What? If only those frozen hands could love me. Did you ever manage that? Congratulations. You emerge into an odd space. Always stretches before you, with a desk at the end. Where am I? In these sorrowful lands, everything is geared for winter. Thick walls, thick coats, thick dreams. How lovely that this long night is coming to an end. Daylight is near. Shall I keep hold of your shadow? I don't think I'm coming back out of the pit here. There's a finality to what death is saying and just the way I feel here. I can see you want me to. You have no reason to fear. There's nothing left to be afraid of. Road twisted into a slippery knot and broke apart. Am I dead? Is this the end? Am I dead? What does it truly mean to be dead? Maybe you simply fell asleep and we found each other within a dream. We're alike in that way. I am the unwanted sibling, the outcast in the family of humanity. Scared. No need to fear. I'm the inventor of time. Nothing here can hurt you. Take solace in the dark. There's no masked man or anyone else. They are but shadows cast on my walls. See, you are ready. This is the end of our hero's journey. How do I feel about that? Well, I think that this whole story has been about someone who really didn't want to connect with other people. We've been saying it from the very beginning. Better off alone. Don't need anyone else. I've gotten far enough without others. You can even talk out loud to yourself when no one's around. We not only found ourselves alone, but we chose it. If not by pushing people away, by not welcoming them either. And there was a lifetime of evidence that showed us, from our upbringing to the loss of relationships, to a scenario where being around others presented active danger, that being close with people was never necessary, maybe not even possible. But we didn't hate our own life. Not enough to end it anyways. I think, in a way, we were not just okay with being alone, but in a sense, happy with it. Satisfied, at least. That was until surviving depended on us not being alone. And that's how it started. There are beings out there who can harm you, who pretend to be people, look like them, sound like them, act like them. And they are a threat to this lonely little life that we've become so attached to. And the only solution is to surround yourself with other people. And in a fortunate way, trying to discover who was a threat to us or not naturally led us to getting to know these people more. Hearing their stories, understanding who they are, where they came from, and how they've been surviving the same thing. The goal was just try to figure out who is human or not so that they don't eat us in the night. But what we ended up doing was realizing what humanity is, and that sometimes it's not going to be obvious. It's going to take looking under the surface a bit. Sometimes, and in fact often, that surface is very rough. We met a lot of strange people, and we had to look behind what were very narrow judgments about them. We got to know them, care about them even. And then we couldn't abandon that care, even though we tried our best to revert back to who we were at the beginning. We didn't save everyone's life. In fact, we ended a few. Got some right, got some wrong. Learned things about ourselves along the way. And I think from every character, we saw some realization that death was inevitable and that we all cope with it in different ways. Some people try to fight it by staying alive as long as they can. Some people accept it, actively move towards it. Some people accept it, but try their best to delay it. But it's coming for all of us eventually. For us, I guess I'm glad that we got to go through the changes that we did before we came here. You know, I don't know what happens when we die. My guess is as good as yours. I don't know if any part of us sticks around to see or experience whatever comes after life, if there is something. But I would imagine that if we do hang on to something, if there's some part of us that persists and remembers who we were and the ideas we had and how we behaved in life, then I'm glad that this is who we are at the end, rather than who we were when we started this, who was someone with a lot of anxiety and maybe even some hatred in their heart. We're not leaving feeling that people are not worth saving or not worth even just caring about. We're actually leaving knowing that even in the worst case scenario, this whole crisis that we've been in, and maybe even especially there, that it was connecting with people and caring about them that actually led to our survival, that helped us make decisions about how to get through this crisis, and for better or worse, brought us here, which might be a moment of peace for us. I guess what I'm trying to say is that we're leaving with a confirmation that the way we were raised and that the way the world asked us to be, violent, dismissive, cold, uncaring, and unfeeling, was not the way to be, after all. Those weren't and aren't the things that shape someone into being strong. And I think maybe we get to leave that stuff behind here. I will take you into the night. The pine trees reach up to the stars. That's what you wanted, isn't it? Where you're meant to be. Yet these short roads will soon stretch strangely wide, long, dusty, and strewn with compromises. Joy. be stuck here forever. Is anyone coming? Is anyone here? Day and night mean nothing here. I don't know how long I've been here. Now, so calm. So very calm. So very still. There's nothing more to hinder you here. Hear no footsteps, no voices, feel nothing. I don't remember how I got here. I don't know how to leave. I don't really want to. Just hope this lasts a little longer. What it all meant. How was I allowed in? Someone come for me? Wish I could meet them again. But that can wait. I'm tired. Just rest a while. I think that whatever we just saw, an afterlife for the protagonist, means some kind of solace from the fears we have of connecting with people. But I didn't take that as hopeful that we'd be alone. I thought it was more yearning to have someone there with us. Question about why was I let into this, moment of peace or whatever. We were still wondering at the end if we deserve that kind of peace. I think everyone does. To me, it seemed like there was a moment of relief that, for right now at least, the suffering of the situation I was in, how much was on my shoulders, and how difficult it was to manage all of it. I don't have to be in that situation anymore. But there was significance to the words of just for right now. I think after those experiences, we do hope to be with people again someday. But if I had to guess at what our hero thought at the end, I'd be willing to guess that he's happy with the experiences he had with those people before he left. If nothing else, they were essential for discovering his own humanity. The people we saved, of course, but also those we didn't.